Well, baby, let's head on back to the start. Back to the original TOA Mata. These legendary characters are so iconic and so awesome. But do you reckon they could be built better? Let's check out 6 community revamps of these characters, and we'll dive in and see how they're made. Get ready to see some fantastic stuff. Here we go. Kicking us off is Bionicle Saga, and this is their incredible revamp of Pahhatu. I really appreciate the builder's effort to keep the design similar to the original. You know, details like the pistons on the torso, or the gear on the waist. Very accurate. But then, you know, to find ways of kind of playing with this a little bit more. That's good to see. Like recoloring these areas in light grey. I think that colour change helps this feel a little bit more robotic, but also that like pronounced colour change. It reminds me of some of the early LEGO Technic sets, where they would do a bit of a similar thing. They'd have light grey accents kind of all over the place. These days you definitely don't see something like this in modern sets. You have a much more unified, realistic colour scheme. So these little touches, I think they add a nice, classic feeling to Pahhatu. It gives him some old school LEGO charm, which is in the DNA of Bionicle. I think that's incredibly fitting. But as much as we have some old vibes, we've also got some newer ones, like the inclusion of some CCBS armor shells. These look great on the lower arms, we've got some on the chest, giving him some very pronounced torso armor. It's good. This mock also has an excellent balance of smooth and textured details. Again, I think that's also in the DNA of Bionicle. Oh, but then we've got the introduction of some trans orange. That's brand new to his colour scheme, but I like it. It reinforces the fact that he is a TOA of fire. And this could even be some sort of world building too. Maybe his people have forged some sort of armour with fire properties to it. I like that. And then of course, Pahhatu now has a cape? Heck yeah. This looks so good. Moving on over to Leewa Mata, and this has been expertly revamped by Trick Mox. I think this is incredibly impressive. Trick has kept things quite similar in terms of dimensions and proportions. It looks just like the original. You know, you got that signature high level of mechanical detail that was packed into the original. But this time, the key difference is that this version of Leewa has way more posability. And I think that is certainly one of the biggest issues with those classic sets. They had no elbows, no knees. Leewa's axe was pretty much locked onto his hand. And the neck, well, you could move it, but you had to totally take it off and reposition it, which doesn't really count. But hey, that's no longer an issue here. So if you are planning on revamping these iconic characters, yeah, I recommend finding ways of enhancing their posability. Because I mean, how good does he look when he's posed like this? You cannot do that with the original set. There's also some lovely system additions on this, like the use of some minifigure hands on the waist. They would have specifically come on a minifigure like this Monster Fighters guy. Look, I think this is a great way to kind of round off the waist. And then I always enjoy seeing this 1x2 grill slope. This would have come in a Power Miners set, like this one. This is good stuff. Now here we have Pahhatu. This is built by S-Mana Builds. Look at that exceptional diorama. You just don't see enough builds these days that have stuff like this. Many Bionicle builders, they just like to build the character. Nothing wrong with that, of course. But when you take the time to build a stand and even have them kind of floating in the air in an action pose like this, that's a great way to bring a character to life. And it's a brilliant homage to this original advertising image of Pahhatu himself. But again, they found a few ways to kind of recontextualize this and modernize it, I suppose. We've got a bunch of these power effect pieces, whether it's the one on the boulder or the trans blue ones coming out of his legs. Now it looks like he's got jet engines on his feet and his thighs. And this is kind of enhancing his kicking abilities. It's a very creative idea, isn't it? And there is something nice about that pop of trans light blue. It complements his already fantastic color scheme. But check out the torso design. Kind of like we mentioned on Leewa before, there's a lot of system pieces here that makes this look beautiful. My favorite inclusion has to be these brown handlebar pieces, kind of at the top of the torso. Look at how that just neatly hugs the neck area. If you want to pick up one of these pieces, you get these in brown in the bonsai tree set. I think you get like 10 of them. And actually, that bonsai tree set is still available for purchase. I saw it in Kmart the other day, and it's amazing how long that's been around. So maybe you should pick that set up and do something like this. Up next we have Naka Korat, and we'll be taking a look at Kopaka. Here's a side-by-side with the original and the revamp. And what immediately grabbed me on this mock is the arm design. Kopaka has this repeated texture right here, and the choice to spam some CCBS armor to kind of replicate this. That's amazing. You could easily build this yourself. You just need a few of those armor pieces. You get some type of like flex tube or like a 6-long bar piece. You feed that through the holes in those pieces. You simply cap off either end with a ball joint and you're good to go. If you've got a few leftover armor shells, this could be a good way to use them. Man, system pieces really seem to be the theme of today's episode, because look at this shield. It's not as circular as the original design, but you gotta love this mix of light bluish grey and white, and then placing those 1x1 tiles on their side in a kind of diamond pattern. So fancy, so elegant. The sword construction is also pretty creative. We've got some of these blade spike pieces. These came in a variety of Hero Factory sets. But yeah, doubling them up like this, placing them on their side, it's a good way to form the bulk of that blade. And then capping it off with a Rakshi staff element. Dude, the end result looks extraordinary. I think this is really, really good. Over to Gully. This is built by Clockwork Guardian. So yeah, this one is a bit more of a departure from the original, but sometimes I think that's nice. Even something like removing the medium blue and changing it up for a lot more light grey. Fantastic. This is a nice reminder to try new things. Yeah, sure, the looks of these characters, they're very iconic, but sometimes sticking with the source material, it can be very limiting to your creativity. And something like revamping a set, it should be your way of having your own creative expression, even if it is a radically different one. It's fun to try your own take. It's fun to take this character and put them in a new context, rebuild them in a new world with new ideas. I think it's important to challenge those original designs, to stretch them to new limits. You gotta see where that experimentation takes you. Maybe by doing something radically different, you end up finding a great way to subtly improve upon that original idea. But at the same time, honoring the classics, that's its own art. It's up to you what you want to do. There's a couple different avenues you can pursue, and I think there's credit to both of them. But yeah, don't be afraid to deviate from the originals, even if it's pretty heavily. Like we can see here, it leads to some excellent results. Now, I am a big fan of this arm design. They look like some kind of industrial machines. Almost like Gully reinvented and rebuilt herself by taking apart some sort of sea vessel or a shipping boat. I like that. And hey, we've got more of those small CCBS armor shells that we spoke about on Kopaka. They're being used on the legs. Stringing 3 of them in a row like that, doesn't that look great? A compact design with a very subtle curve to it. Awesome. And finally, let's talk about the powerful Toa of Earth. It's Anoa. This is built by Bonkarella. Anoa has always had a bit of a skinnier design, but at the same time he's got these big giant claws, and then in his G2 depictions, he is quite a towering bruiser kind of character. So even though this is a little bit different, it still does feel within the DNA of the character. It's shaking things up a little bit too, I like that. So yeah, those buffed up claws. It's nice to see the use of some black invasion from below spike pieces. See, this is good because the original claws, they had no posability whatsoever. But this design, finally they do. And honestly, yeah, the shape of these pieces, it really does look like a scaled up version of that original claw element. We also have the inclusion of some subtle silver and light grey pieces. You see, you need stuff like this, man, because otherwise he would just be a completely monotone creation. And that would be kind of boring. And then, I feel like any other accent color like red or blue, that would be a little too much for this, and it wouldn't really work. So even though light bluish grey and silver isn't the most exciting color scheme, it breaks it up enough, and it looks good. And it kind of touches on what I said before with Pahhatu, adding in some robotic classic flair. And look at that, we've come full circle from Anoa back to Pahhatu. That has been 6 incredible revamps of the original TOA. Do you want to see more from these talented builders that I featured today? Then check the links below. More is waiting for you right there. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now. Fun fact, by the way, the Bionicle community used to call the TOA Mata the TOA Older. We didn't get an official name for them until much later. You know, the Nuva were new, the Older were old. Eventually, Greg gave us the name and it stuck.